All right, guys. So we are back for Netflix earnings. You can see we're going to put Netflix up on the chart here. Netflix drops their earnings today. Pretty sideways day all the way around for Netflix overall. You kind of see Tesla broke down a little bit and then chopped. And then today, the SPY has been pretty flat basically all day. We had that opening weakness that we caught this morning, but the market's pretty flat right now. Netflix earnings drop in about, uh, they drop at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we still got some time. But yeah, they drop later on today, 4 p.m. on the dot. We also have United Airlines. We've got Interactive Brokers. We've got Hancock Whitney. We've got United, Fulton, Western Alliance, First Horizon, uh, a couple other things to cover here today. So, we got some stuff to cover today, guys. Later on this week, I don't think we have any earnings. Let me see. So checking the earnings report here. We're going to get some music playing as well. I might have to go grab myself a coffee or something here. Let me, you should be able to hear the music. Let me know if you can hear it. All right, guys. So yeah, the actual earnings report is going to be. What's up, Kay, Sandy, Shepard? Which screen, guys? We can put this screen up, or we can put the other screen up. Get a little bit closer view. What's up? What's up, DS Lives? What's up, man? Yeah, so I was thinking about covering the Security and Exchange Commission hearing entitled "Oversight of the SEC." Uh, did anybody pay attention to it? I just haven't seen it lately. All right, guys. John's gonna take a day off, but now that you're streaming before RTH, I close. What's RTH stand for? Yeah, I mean, remember we got Netflix earnings today, bro. Tech earnings. Netflix has been on a tear the last 6 months or so. So yeah, we'll see what we get. Market's pretty choppy. I was thinking about trading, but I just decided not to because, well, frankly, the market just sucked. There's no trades to get in today. I'm up a little bit, but it looks like me taking most of the day off was probably the right move. It was a bug. Put day. Yeah, let's do a poll here. We're gonna get our polls going live like we always do. Let me get the poll going live. Hopefully this will pop the market out of being choppy, man. It's been choppy most of the day today. Bullish or bearish on today's Netflix earnings report and call. Bull or bear vote of the poll. SPY started to break down a little bit ahead of this. There's the poll. We're going to do a Twitter poll like we always do as well. All right, so we're going to do a poll on Twitter. Netflix is expecting, guys, 283 EPS. 283 EPS on, let me see what they're expecting. When 8.17 billion in sales. They beat or miss. All right, guys. Again, do me a favor. One of the things that helps the most is hitting that like button, guys. You know you want to try it one time. I feel good. Do it now. If you haven't already, let's see. We're gonna do a beat or miss poll. And so the poll is gonna have 3 options on Twitter: beat, miss, or expected. So we got this poll live right now. You guys check it out. Vote on that poll. All right, guys. Bounce it a little bit. I mean, if there isn't any trend right now, it's a sideways trend. Can y'all hear the music? You should be able to. Let me know if you can. You should be able to. All right, guys. So yes, Netflix breaking down a little bit here. Hey, what's up? Music is good. All right, cool. As long as you can hear it. What's up, Shepard? That did feel good. Hey, I bet it did. Every time I vote in your polls, I'm in the minority. Hey, listen. What'd you vote on, bro? Right now, it's 50-50 split. It's 52-48 right now. So pretty flat down the middle. Again, the market's pretty sideways at this point in time. The market's just sideways. There's just not a lot going on. You know, not a lot of stuff going on. All right, so we got some votes here. 50-50 split on Twitter, too. Let's go ahead and send out our newsletter here. Start labeling these so I can do them. Let's see. I remember the last time. Let me look back at the emails. I remember. I say it was this one. There it is. All right. There we go. Duplicate this. We'll call it. All right, so Netflix started to break down a little bit. Part of me wants to short when we get to the top of this range and cover at the bottom of the range. Let me know if you think that's a good idea, guys. I don't know. Yeah, so we're going to cover the Netflix earnings as well. Let me put this out there so you guys can catch it. There we go. Let me fix this, make it clickable. Again, you can join our newsletter at beginnertrading.net/members if you want to join our newsletter. There we go. Make sure this link works to this stream. Sir, it is good. Save. All right, guys. So we're going to send out the newsletter here. Again, if you want to be a part of this newsletter, beginnertrading.net/members, I'll put this up. The link, check it out. About 5,000 in calls. I still have a chance to take it out. Hey, bro, just be careful, man. I mean, listen, the reality of earnings calls is this, okay? And again, I'm not one of those traders that's going to lie to people. The reality of earnings calls is this. Nobody freaking knows what's going to happen during the Nflx earnings call. Nobody does. Nobody knows if it's going to do good or bad. And so what I'll say is that that's a gamble, brother. You know, if you bought $5,000 worth of calls based off of what, a hunch? Nobody knows what the earnings are going to come in. We don't know. I'll put it this way. There's no true edge in trying to predict what a company is going to do from their earnings report. No true edge, right? So again, not trying to influence your trades. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Hey, listen, Nflx might just ramp up. It might shoot to the sky after the earnings report again. And so I don't want to create that, that fear in you. But what I'm trying to say is I've never personally found that edge. Chat, let me know if you think there's an edge in buying up big positions ahead of earnings. I don't think there really is. I think the only real edge you might be able to find in earnings reports is taking like straddle trades where you take both sides of the position. If one starts to get volatility in one direction, you cut the other side and try to ride the trend. That's the only way you can really take positions ahead of earnings. Aside from that, earnings are really misleading in that like sometimes a company can just kill it. They can do great with their earnings and still take. Look at Goldman Sachs today. Goldman Sachs had pretty good numbers. They had mixed results, great EPS, which is profitability. So Goldman Sachs was highly profitable, but their sales were just down slightly and Goldman Sachs tanked. Huge percentages from their earnings report today. And so I guess the point is like, nobody really knows what's going to happen here, brother. Just be careful. Yeah, just be careful, bro. Yeah, I hope you make money, dude. I really do, brother. I hope you make money. I really hope you make money. We'll see. But good luck, dude. All right. So Nflx earnings time. Big day. Again, we'll put the expectations up and stream so you can see them, catch them, and actually really see them. Expectations right now for Nflx are for put these numbers up on screen. They will go live at 4 p.m. $15 moving calls. Oof. Yeah, y'all be careful, man. Honestly, I was genuinely thinking about not even covering Nflx earnings because again, Nflx is like we'll cover it, but tomorrow's Tesla earnings. All right, team. I'm in the money call right now. 1,500, I think. Yeah, definitely top 3. Are you bullish? It depends on what time frame we're looking at. All right, so my take on Nflx is this. Okay, short term, I think Nflx is up a lot over the last 6 months. Okay, so I think if you look at the last year, really, Netflix had this big catastrophic drop from, about a year ago. If you guys remember, I remember this because I cover this data pretty regularly, right? About a year ago, Netflix had a really brutal earnings report where they just had terrible earnings. Their earnings were absolutely horrible. They dumped like 50% or whatever it was. It was a crazy move, right? At the time, they dropped from 340s all the way down to 180s, basically. So they dropped basically, 50%, 160s actually. So yeah, they dropped 50% is what they dropped. So they basically dropped 50% within a span of a month or two. Less than that actually, but they dropped a lot. Again, they dropped from 360 all the way down to 160. So yeah, they've dropped over 50% at the end of it. But since then, Netflix has been on a tear back up. And so if you look at it since May of last year, so here's May of last year. So, a little bit less than a year, they have fought all the way back up in a market that's been, kind of back and forth. Netflix has done really solid over the last year. The only problem with that in my type of trading short term is that they could be a little bit extended. I think Netflix will still be strong long term no matter what. I think they'll be strong long term no matter what. I don't think Netflix is going anywhere. I know there's other streaming competition, but I think Netflix has built a very strong business. Their content is becoming higher and higher quality over time. I know, they've made some mistakes in terms of like their password sharing announcement and stuff like that. I don't think they should have even said anything there. But I think Netflix is going to be very strong moving forward. I think Netflix is going to be fine. But short term, there's some question marks because of the extension, in my opinion. If you look at this, that's a lot of extension. So short term, in my personal subjective opinion, there's some question marks. But again, I have no idea what Netflix is going to do. The problem, and again, if you zoom out more, you can look at, they were higher than this. So like they were at $700 at one point in time. And so in terms of like their all-time highs, they're still pretty cheap. They're about 50% down from all-time highs, it looks like. But in terms of short-term extension, I do think that's on the upside. But of course, nobody knows. Do you think XAI? So is that Elon's AI is going to be able to catch up? I don't know. I think GDP's got a pretty big head start on everybody. But I have tried Bard, and Bard's solid. Bard's very similar to Chat GDP, to be honest. So yeah, I remember the earnings report about the same time last year. And again, it was a brutal earnings report for Netflix. I don't know if we're going to get it again. Again, I genuinely don't know what we're going to get in that regard for Netflix. I think anything could happen. It's an earnings report, of course, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so again, Netflix popping up a little bit. So basically, people asking me what I think about Netflix. Long term, I'm bullish. Short term, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think Elon has the resources to make it big and competitive. But at the same time, though, people underestimate the pure strength. But people underestimate the pure resources that Microsoft has as well. Microsoft is just, y'all got to think about it like this, okay? Apple, Tesla might be the largest company in the world right now. However, you want to use those metrics to look at what to make something the largest company in the world, or to analyze it as the largest company in the world. Microsoft has been in the top 5 companies in the world for what, 30 years now? You know what I mean? And so I know Tesla's big, and I know Elon's got some resources with regards to money and that, but Microsoft is a huge company that is already established, and the CEOs know how to make moves. They know what they're doing in that regard. Okay. I think a lot of other tech companies dropped the ball in terms of acquisition with Chat GDP, right? I think a lot of companies dropped the ball. I think a lot of companies should have jumped on this. I think there's a lot more favorable companies that are more relevant with regards to Chat GPT. Like, imagine if Google hopped on that, you know? And so I think, some other companies dropped the ball in that regard. And I think Microsoft was very smart in their acquisition of equity in Chat GPT. Did I say GDP? Chat GPT is what I meant to say. But yeah, point is, I think Chat GPT is going to be huge. And we might have some other competitive ones. And it's all about carving out niches. I just think they got to carve out niches. And I think the ones that carve out the most obvious niche, they're going to be the ones that succeed. Why are contracts so expensive for Netflix right now? Well, because it's earnings day, brother. There's a premium if you want to buy earnings stocks, if you want to buy options on earnings stocks, you're going to have to pay a premium on earnings day, brother. It's earnings day, man. Earnings come out in about 20 minutes for Netflix. So yeah, you want to buy that today, bro, you're going to have to pay for it. Just be careful. Buying up big contracts ahead of earnings is gambling to a certain extent. So just be careful, man. All right, we got some votes regarding Netflix. So 56% of people think Netflix is going to beat, 36% of people think they're going to miss, and 8.3% think we're going to come in at expected. Again, we're expecting 283 EPS on 817 in sales. Let's go ahead and look at the trend for Netflix here. Let's go ahead and look at the graphs here. One of my favorite sites for this, and this is not a sponsor or anything like that, but one of my favorite spots to look up this stuff is macrotrends.net. Very useful site. So again, we can look at Netflix's EPS graph, right? So here's EPS. To put it into perspective, EPS is profitability. Okay, so when you hear EPS, it means profitability. So a beat on EPS means the company was more profitable than they expected. A miss on EPS, again, means the company was less profitable than initially expected. All right, so EPS profitability. It's earnings per share is what it stands for. But what it really is profitability. It's how much the company made in terms of margins. Sales or revenue, they are kind of the ceiling with regards to the company. Like, they are basically how much money's floating around in the company in terms of sales or revenue. So those are the different metrics to look at. I would say, especially lately, I think sales and revenue have held more weight than EPS. You could look at Goldman Sachs this morning as an example. They had great EPS, so great profitability, but their sales were down relative to expectations. And so I think sales have had a lot of weight lately. But if you look at their EPS graph, so here's a quarterly EPS graph. One thing you'll see here, guys, is that Netflix had a terrible fourth quarter in terms of EPS. So a terrible fourth quarter. You can see that little bitty dot here. What that means is that Netflix's last quarter, they only made 12 cents a share. Very low. That has made their PE ratio look bad as well. But yeah, very, very big, very big miss for Netflix in their last report. And this should be pumped up to, if this hits, right? So if this hits, this next graph will be something like here. It's right around 287 or 283. So 283 will be right around there. So again, we'll see what happens. If you look at the trailing 12-month EPS here, if you want to calculate like PE ratio or whatever, you divide the price of Netflix, which is 334. You take the price of Netflix, 334, you divide it by 995. You'll get the trailing 12-month PE ratio. PE ratio is basically how cheap is a company right now. Like, is it value? Is it not value? Under 30 generally means it's value. But I think Netflix right now, if we look at PE, is going to be right around 50, which is high. But relative to some other stocks, it's not the highest, but it's certainly not conventionally good in terms of PE ratio. Now, if we look at Netflix revenue graph, so let's take a look at the other side of that earnings coin, so to speak here. Now, in terms of revenue, Netflix is very consistent in terms of revenue. So again, if we look this up here, right? So here is Netflix. They are very consistent in terms of revenue. Their last two quarterly reports, they had lower revenue. But prior to that, they had basically been on a huge tear up since they started really picking up steam in 2010. They've been on a huge tear. But their last report was the first time they had a lower report in a long, long time. You can see here they had basically consecutive up, up, up. Their last report was lower than it had been previously. The next one was even lower than that. Okay, right now they're expecting 817s, and so if we hit EPS or if we hit revenue, so if Netflix comes in at 8.17 billion, that will be the largest revenue for Netflix ever. Okay, as long as it's over 7.85 billion. Again, they're expecting 8.17. If they hit 8.17, that will be the largest revenue they've ever had quarterly, ever, right? And so again, their revenue is really solid. It's their profitability that's the question. But again, you got to understand a company like Netflix, they're going to have to spend money to make money. Like, they're going to have to produce content. That's why, like, their profitability, their EPS is kind of back and forth and a little bit less consistent than their overall revenue. Like, they're bringing in money, but if they're choosing to spend that money on other stuff, that's the dynamic and nuance of it that you want to look for, if that makes sense, right? So again, they're spending money, but it's one of those things where their revenue is consistent because they're bringing in income, but their profitability is the question here. But again, if they hit expected numbers, largest revenue they've ever had quarterly, ever. So we'll see if they do it or not. It could be a record. It could be a record report for Netflix. Numbers drop at 4 p.m. So in about 16 minutes or so, 16 minutes. But yeah. Netflix currently at 333.90s here, 333.90s. And again, we'll try to stream all of it. We'll see. Yeah, good luck. I hope you make money, X. But that is basically what to look for in terms of Netflix. Again, if we hit expectations, that will be the largest revenue they've ever had. EPS needs a rebound relative to the last one. And it looks like, generally the companies know what they're doing in terms of expectations, right? So if we hit the 283, EPS will be right back to business as usual for Netflix. I think that'll be a great sign if they can hit it. If they can't, then, we'll see how low it is. But again, if they hit that 8.17 billion number in sales or revenue, then that's going to be the highest ever. You said sideways because you're looking at big time frames. If you get that out of your head, you'd be a better trader. No such thing as sideways market. Yeah, but I mean, no offense, man. But like, it's kind of like you're arguing with me about subjective things. Of course, there's a sideways market. It just depends on what time frame you're looking at it. Some traders look at very short term. Some traders zoom out and look at long term, of course. But it varies. It's not like it's basically the analogy I always use when somebody talks to me about that is like chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake, right? Somebody else might hate chocolate cake. Doesn't mean either of us are right or wrong, So with regards to the time frame, it's all subjective, man. We can zoom in and look at sideways. We can zoom out and look at an uptrend in most blue chips. But again, doesn't mean either of us is not. It's a subjective thing. It's opinion based, man. All right, guys. So again, we got some polls here. Let's look at the actual YouTube polls. That's the one I'm curious about. So we got about 115, 116 votes, and it's all good, X. I'm just kind of saying it's arguing with me about subjective things. Bullish or bearish on today's Netflix earnings report and call. 56% say bull, 44% say bear. Yeah, and honestly, Netflix still holding. Well, yeah, I mean, you can always isolate one specific market and find one that's not choppy. But when I say choppy, I'm talking about the S&P 500. I'm talking about the futures market, which is what I trade a lot of the time. So, and again, I mean, we can argue about it, but I think objectively speaking here, or not as objective as I can be. It's a pretty choppy market, brother. You could always zoom out, you know, you could always zoom in, but it's all the same, man. Now I'm just confused, man. Yeah, it's all good here, dude. X, it's all good here, man. Like I said, it's all good, man. I'm not trying to argue with you, bro. I guess the point I was trying to make is like every day we're going to have sideways markets. Some markets are going to be voluminous. Some markets are going to be trend heavy. And it's all good here, man. But like I said, we can agree to disagree. It doesn't matter too much, brother. Anyways, SPY up to 414s. Again, very choppy last few hours here since about 11 a.m. market time. Market's been pretty flat. Big range for some parts, but pretty flat day. So I did end green today, but it's been slow. And so I'm glad I kind of bowed out of the market earlier. OBLG in the now term. Yeah, but that sounds like a penny stock, brother. Yeah, I mean, this might be ripping up. I'm not a big penny stock trader, brother. I think most penny stocks are terrible companies that will ultimately dump down and crash on most traders. I think new traders get wrapped up in day trading them and using them, you know, Tim Sykes and all that stuff. Again, most of the time, it's just not what you want to be trading. They might move up big percentages and you can make money or lose money. But again, they're just not my style, man. I'm not saying you can't make money trading them, but they're just not my style of trades. So they might be ripping up big. It's insignificant to me. Again, here's the Q. So yeah, what the Q showing us is the same thing the SPY is showing us. Here's the Q, here's the SPY. Basically that the market was really weak at the open, and then it basically started consolidating for the rest of the open. So pretty neutral day. Yeah. Yeah, hey, we appreciate it. Guys, it's all good. All right, guys, earnings 10 minutes, 11 minutes or so. All right, SPY just choppy. I think a lot of the market is actually waiting for the Netflix results here. So look at Netflix dump down here ahead of it. So Netflix just broke under the previous closing price. It's really starting to look weak. It's down to 330s. 330s. Is it too late to play calls or puts? I mean, you could buy them, but you're gonna pay a premium, you know, 10 minutes before earnings come out. So like you could buy them, but you're gonna have to pay for them. And again, I'm not buying anything in terms of options. Yeah, honestly, I agree with you, X. Basically, if you look at the Q, which is tech-based, and again, X, despite our earlier argument, I actually agree with you here, which is that like almost all tech stocks are going to follow each other, and I think the whole market is waiting for Netflix to drop their earnings, and the whole market will move with them. You know, I agree 100%. Netflix moves markets. Q is basically tech-based ETF, kind of like a tech-based S&P 500. And yeah, the Q's been pretty choppy leading up to Netflix earnings. But yeah, they will move in sympathy with each other. And so I think the whole market, again, we talked about it earlier, which is that like Netflix here, if you look at a yearly chart, the last time Netflix had a really bad earnings report was in May of last year. And it was bad. Like I remember this earnings report. It dragged the whole market down. It was super red when this happened. If anybody remembers, we covered this Netflix earnings call and it was rough for Netflix, man. It absolutely tanked. Uh, yeah, it's gonna be super extended in terms of options. Problem is, you can make really great money on a few penny stock trades and get a false sense of how to trade them, and it only takes one or two when you comfortably take larger size to wreck the account. Yeah, for sure. You get stuck in offerings, dilution, pump and dumps. Um, Again, penny stocks are kind of new traders market where like new traders get wrapped up in them because they think that they have to trade them because their account's small. But like a new trader can trade futures, a new trader can trade stock like blue chips with just less sizing, and that's going to be better for them most of the time over penny stocks. Again, you got penny stock gurus that act like they're just rich, day trading penny stocks, selling courses to everybody, all the naive traders that just follow along with it. They talk about how they don't need to trade for money and that they're giving all their money away to charity and that they're doing all this stuff, right? The only reason they're doing that stuff and pandering is so they can sell you a course for thousands of dollars on publicly available content. All right, so be smart, guys. Don't fall for that stuff. Yeah, they're terrible. I mean, I had, like I said, this channel was kind of founded on penny stocks in all honesty, and so they served their purpose. They got me interested in the stock market, but over time, I just realized that, like, number one, over time my account grew to where I could buy, hundreds of shares of the SPY if I want to, and so I don't need to trade pennies anymore. But you also realize, like, being on a treasure hunt every day looking for volatility and liquidity in penny stocks is not fun. Like the fact that you have to search around just to find volatile moves in penny stocks, and then even then it's just kind of, they can get halted and crash on you, they can get diluted at the press of a button, and it's just a risky market. Most of the people don't want to get caught in. Again, a lot of new traders fall for it because they're desperate to make money and they're struggling financially, and a lot of the time the people selling courses kind of pander to that, where they say, oh, you want to turn your life around, buy my penny stock course. Please don't fall for that. All right. Again, they're hoping if you're struggling financially, you should not be day trading. Is the truth. You should not be day trading at all if you're struggling financially, especially not penny stocks. Anyways, Netflix just broke under the previous closing price. Starting to break down here. We still got a couple minutes before the actual earnings report for Netflix here. We're at 332.60s. Yeah, Tesla earnings. So again, Netflix earnings, like, I'm hoping we'll get a bunch of people here, and maybe we do. But Tesla earnings tomorrow are going to be the real one. That we're going to have thousands of people here tomorrow for Tesla earnings. It'll be fun. Tesla earnings are really the big one. Tesla, I think, is number 6 weighted in the S&P 500, and so it's going to be a big move in terms of market activity. One thing you'll notice now is that the S&P is actually moving against Netflix here. Netflix is breaking down under the previous closing price. The SPY is actually up to almost 414.50s here, so Netflix is looking weak under the previous closing price. The SPY is up, so y'all be careful. All right, yeah. Hey, hit the subscribe button, X. We appreciate it. Did anybody watch the SEC testifying in front of Congress about SEC oversight? Did anybody watch that? I saw it going on, but I didn't actually watch it. Look at the SPY rip up. Netflix starting to bounce back a little bit here. We got about 4 minutes, guys. 4 minutes before the actual EPS come out. Again, we generally get a lot of people here because we cover these moves fast. So be ready here, guys. The data's about to come out now. What have they been saying on that? Tristan, what have they been saying, man? All right, Netflix starting to bump up. SPY starting to move up. It's at 414.60s. Yeah. I was thinking about covering it, but in hindsight, I'm really glad I didn't, because the actual stream only got about 4,000 views, which I'm not saying it's not a lot, but like, if the actual stream got 4,000 views, we would have gotten maybe a couple hundred people here, and that thing lasted all day. And so I would just be burnt out. I wouldn't be able to cover Netflix. So glad I didn't cover it in hindsight. But hey, we got 3 minutes, guys. 3 minutes. SPY, Q, rip it up. Netflix starting to bounce up a little bit. Again, we'll see if it actually holds here. Earnings come out in about 3 minutes, team. 3 minutes, be ready. All right, guys, SPY starting to bounce. Look at Netflix ripping up pretty strong here. It's at 335.50s here. We got about 2 minutes, guys. 2 minutes. What's up, Russ? Look at Netflix pop here. All right, guys, earnings about to drop. All right, so the Midwest Netflix shutters DVD rental business after 25 years. So the Netflix DVD is now, rental service is now done. They're ending the DVD delivery business after 25 years. Yeah, so he said they will wind down their DVD website later this year. All right, Netflix popping up at 333.75s right now. 333.75s. We got about a minute and a half left, guys. Another earnings report that we get today is United Airlines. Theirs drop at 405. IB, United Community, First Horizon. We got a bunch of them that dropped, to be honest. Look at Netflix rise here, though, guys. Less than a minute. Netflix rebounding big here. Still not a huge run considering they've been choppy here, but they're starting to rip up. 45 seconds. Who would be calling at this hour of the day? I mean, it's only 3 o'clock Texas time. You know, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon Texas time, so it's like the middle of the day, bro. I'm a real estate agent as well. It's probably a client or something. All right, guys. Netflix pump it up. Here we go. All right, guys. Netflix at 334s. All right, let's see what the earnings show up as. All right, guys. Here we go for Netflix. Here's the report. All right, waiting for Netflix here. Nothing out yet. Waiting for the results to show up. Nothing out yet. Looks like they're out. Big move. Down. Big move down for Netflix. Up, back up. Down. Bear with me, guys. Let me check. Big drops for Netflix here. Down to 320s here, guys. Big drops for Netflix. All right, so they're out with their numbers here, guys. Netflix just dropped their numbers. Huge drops. Checking on the numbers now. Bear with me. Looking these numbers up. All right, Netflix, you guys, just dropped 1.31 billion net revenue. First quarter revenue came in at 8.17 billion. EPS showed up at 288 on 816 versus 287 on 817. So slight miss, and they are dumping down here. Wow, look at this drop down to 308s here, guys. Wow, we're gonna put this data up on screen so you can see what this is. But again, they basically beat on both metrics. Or no, they missed on sales, beat on revenue. Here's the numbers right here. Missed on 288 versus 286 expected. They added 1.71 million in the first quarter versus 2.1 million. So they added much less subscribers. Their paid memberships are 232.5 million, up about 5% year over year. But yeah, they missed on some sub additions. So their subscriber additions were much lower than expected at 1.75 million versus 2.1 million expected. They ended up showing 288 EPS versus 286 estimates. Sales of 816 versus 818 estimates for Netflix. We're going to put this number up on Twitter as well. All right, guys. Big drops. Again, they missed. They put in guidance that was lower than expected as well. Their guidance numbers was much lower than expected. So their guidance came in at 284 versus 305 estimates for the second quarter guidance. Revenue of 89.24 versus 8. I don't know if this guidance number was wrong or what, but I'm trying to see their revenue guidance. Again, their EPS missed guidance numbers. So far, Netflix has beat EPS, missed sales, had lower than expected subscriber gain in the first quarter of about 1.75 million subscribers. Their second quarter operating income came in at 1.57 billion. 1.57 billion for Netflix here. We're going to put some of this up in chat. Hey, congrats, Shepard. If you didn't put congrats. Hey, listen, I was trying to tell somebody that they were gambling $5,000 on call options ahead of this report. I was trying to tell them. I tried to tell you. I'm sorry. I tried to tell you, bro. I hope you got out, man. You know. All right, we're going to throw it in sub-only mode. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button here, guys. But yeah, basically, guidance missed expectations. Sales missed expectations. Their subscriber gain missed expectations at 1.75 million versus they expected more than that. They came in, they were expecting 2.1 million subscriber gains in the first quarter. They only showed at 1.75 million. They're getting rid of their DVD rental business. Their second quarter guidance came in lower than expected. So yeah. The other numbers up in chat again. So global streaming paid net additions came in at 1.75 million. And total net cash provided by operating activities at 2.18 billion. But yeah, Netflix, they might rebound here. I mean, I don't really see any reason for them to rebound necessarily. I'll give you some positive things, okay? Netflix just now had their highest sales number ever, even though they missed expectations. Netflix just had its highest sales number ever for any quarter, okay? Their previously higher sales numbers, or their previously largest quarter in terms of sales was at, let's see what it was 7.97 billion. 7.97 billion. So Netflix had its largest sales quarter ever. All right. So, but it did miss. They did expect a little bit larger, but it was a slight miss. All right. So if we got a bull argument for this, okay, the bull argument is they beat EPS, which is again profitability. Their profitability came in better than expected. Their sales was the highest ever for a quarter, but still lower than expected. But still highest ever. If there's a bear argument, they missed on guidance. Their guidance came in lower than expected. So their guidance was low. Revenue guidance was low. They missed on both revenue guidance as well as they put in revenue guidance for the second quarter at 8.24 billion versus 8.48 billion expected for guidance in the second quarter. EPS guidance came in at 284 when they expected 305 for second quarter EPS guidance. So that's Netflix right now. Again, I don't know what it's going to do from now on, but that is basically what happened here for Netflix. You're welcome, guys. Hit that subscribe button. We are going to stream the full earnings call when it goes live as well. But yeah, that's basically what happened just now. Yeah, they didn't gain as much subscribers as they thought. They came in at 1.75 million new subs versus 2.1 million expected. They missed on sales, even though it was the highest sales ever. They still missed on it. Their guidance was not as high as expected. They came in low for guidance numbers, lower than expected. They put out something that said, quote, the majority of our year-over-year FX neutral revenue growth in the second quarter is expected to come from growth in our paid membership base. All right, so we're going ahead and we're reading this now. Engagement on our ads tier is above our initial expectations, and as expected, we've seen very little switching from our standard and premium plans. Netflix expects to accelerate share repurchases over the course of 2023. So basically, they expect to accelerate share repurchases. Yeah, what do you guys think? Are you guys buying Netflix here? Let's go ahead and do another poll here. So we got a bunch of votes. Pretty split down the middle in terms of bear bull, but yeah, congrats, Shepard, if you made some money. Again, we are going to stream the full earnings call that goes live. I believe it goes live in about 50 minutes. It goes live at 3 Pacific time, which is, yeah, okay. Whoa. Oh, man. Yeah, we don't know if it's going to drop even more, but glad you didn't. Surprised you didn't. I don't know, man. This was a little bit. If Netflix was extended leading into this, maybe. But I think Netflix, if it had some extension, it was on the upside prior to this, which is what I said beforehand. You know. The problem, though, that I'm just now realizing, guys, and like I want to cover this. The problem is that Netflix's earnings call is not for 2 hours. I mean, we might trade a little bit, but 2 hours. That's. So was it bad? I mean, it wasn't good. I mean, you could twist it to be whatever, but the reality of it is it beat on EPS, missed on sales, worse than expected guidance, missed on subscriber growth. So in terms of like good versus bad, it's 75% negative in terms of metrics and earnings, 25% positive. BDPS missed everything else, basically. Missed guidance, missed sales. BDPS missed guidance and sales. So I mean, it's not good. Not necessarily. The market's not going to like it, at least. The market's not liking it. Market's dipping down. I mean, it's kind of rebounding back some. So it depends. I mean, it depends on whether you consider it Netflix objectively cheap here or not. But I don't know. Yeah, EPS was a slight beat. Everything else was a miss. I'm not buying anything right now. I mean, I could buy right now if I want to, but. Netflix starting to rebound here, so we'll cover what happens. Again, the thing about this stream, though, guys, is that like Yeah, I don't know if I have it in me to sit here for 2 hours to cover the Netflix earnings call. Again, what I'm gonna do, uh, what I'm gonna do here, and then tomorrow, remember, tomorrow's Netflix or tomorrow's Tesla. Uh, Here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the link up so you guys can watch your own version of Netflix earnings. All right, because this comes out at 6 p.m. I'm not gonna sit around because the way Netflix is a little bit different from everything else, guys, is that Netflix, instead of doing an actual call where the CEO gets interviewed and all that stuff, Netflix just puts out a video that's about an hour long. If you want to see it, here's the link. Check it out. Also, guys, check out our sponsors, guys. Top Step, 25% off lifetime sale going on right now. So you get 25% off for the lifetime of your subscription on Top Step. Top Step is the single best way for new traders to enter day trading without taking on a lot of risk. A lot of day traders put up their own money, lose thousands of dollars. Most day traders, at least professional ones, are going to be doing it in futures over stocks, to be honest. Futures, there's no PDT restrictions. You can day trade short. You can use a margin account. You can, get instant settlement, buy bid, sell ask, buy market, sell market. However you want to do it, you can day trade futures, which is essentially the S&P 500, and you can day trade some of these releases in futures with no PDT restrictions. The cheapest way to get your foot in the door with the lowest barrier of entry is Top Step. Top Step is a funded futures program where they give you a demo. They test your profitability. If you can pass their testing, like the base one's 50K demo is what they give you. They give you a 50K demo. If you can make $3,000 in profit without losing $2,000 while following the rest of their rules and conditions, then they fund you 50 grand with a 90% split. And so if you make 10K once you're funded, you keep 9. But again, I think most traders are going to lose these challenges. I always try to be honest with people. I think most traders are going to lose this. But that's kind of the point, is that it's so much cheaper to lose that, still have some pressures, great middle ground, teaches you how to trade. Base package is about $124 right now if you use my link. And again, you get 25% off for the lifetime of the subscription. But you're not taking on all the risks that you would be taking on if you put the money up yourself. You try to do the same thing in futures yourself, you got to put up like 10K. You're going to lose thousands most likely if you're not good at it. So it's a beautiful middle ground where it's kind of the best of both worlds. If you can pass the testing, you get 90% of your profit once you're funded. If you don't pass it, you probably would have lost more with a regular account anyway. So again, if you want to check it out, here is the link. Again, if you want to check out the Netflix earnings call, again, they are a sponsor of mine. I'm certainly biased in Top Step's favor because they pay me money. But again, genuinely useful for traders, guys. Genuinely useful for traders. Netflix starting to bounce back a little bit. But yeah, you can check out the link in the description as well as the link right there. Also, again, if you want to watch the Netflix earnings call yourself, the earnings call doesn't go live for 2 hours. And again, look, I love you guys, but I'm not about to sit here for 2 hours just to cover a pre-recorded earnings call. Okay, it goes live at 5 o'clock Central, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, make sure this is right. Yes, it goes live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, it will go live right here. There's the link right there if you want to check it out. I'll also put the link in the description if you want to copy it there. Yeah, we're gonna put this up. All right, guys. Y'all be good. Love you all. Y'all be safe. I'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early. Tomorrow, Tesla earnings. Huge day for market activity. Huge day for market activity. Netflix is starting to bounce back some here. Do Bed Bath & Beyond. We can take a look at some stuff here before we close it down just for fun. Yeah, Bed Bath is ripping up. The problem with Bed Bath is what I said. Regardless of any technical momentum pattern or anything like that, the real argument for this is like, look, what's the fundamental long-term argument for the company of Bed Bath & Beyond? Like, I've been to Bed Bath & Beyond's recently, and I've said this many times. What's the real argument for their success? Because I don't know if there is one. Like, how are they going to succeed? Like, what's the real argument for their success long-term? Because from what I see, it's a brick-and-mortar store, high prices. Most of the products are now sold on Amazon. Every time I go to the store, it's empty. So, like, what are they going to do? What can they do? Honestly, I don't know. They could sell themselves. They could have a buyout. They could get acquired. They could, I don't know. Again, somebody give me that argument. I don't know it. Y'all be safe. Love you all. Be good. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, hey, Gamma ramp up. Listen, y'all make y'all's money. I'm certainly not mad at traders making their money riding the Bed Bath & Beyond run. I'm certainly not upset with that. Again, make y'all some money. I'm rooting for you. If I gotta choose a side, short sellers or y'all, I'm choosing y'all. Okay, but y'all be careful. Anyways, y'all be good. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow.